Sri Lanka 2024. Oh my goodness, was this an incredible trip. And if you have to ask me what's the one thing that stood out to me this year, it would be tough, but it must be the answer of the power of the gospel to save anybody.
My favorite part of the Sri Lanka trip was definitely the outreaches. They were just a couple of us who went out into this random church in the middle of nowhere, and we just got to, meet these people and pray for these people and just talk to them, and it was so cool.
The outreach, because we got the opportunity to pray for these people that were in bad health conditions or had diseases or had any pain within them, and while we were praying for these people, they were being healed in that moment, and I think that just opens our eyes and shows us the capability of God. We really got to experience the presence of God in that moment.
It was such a powerful presence that we were really sensing, and we really felt it with the people. We really felt it with the worship, with the conference. 80 plus people gave their lives to the Lord this trip.
And I got my first vision from God, which was really cool. Not vision, but I looked at something and then he gave me a story out of it.
Seeing that God was with us and working through us throughout the whole time we were there.
The power of prayer. Things happen really quickly when you pray. So one of the outreaches, me and Kamaya, we were praying while everybody else, because I wanted to go stand next to him. Then Dylan was preaching and the translator said there's Hindu ladies in this really Hindu village on top of this little hill. And then they're pray extra loud and pray extra hard and pray, just be loud. That's all the guy said. And so we prayed, and then these Hindu ladies ended up coming down from this hill, giving their life to Jesus.
Praying for people, because the first conference that I went to, this was my first Sri Lankan trip, and that was also my first time praying for people.
I felt God heal someone by touching them, and that was also pretty cool.
I experienced new people in a new place. I experienced how God works through people in a different way. I've never seen it before, and His love and the Holy Spirit. And I also experienced change spiritually by myself, and also I saw the change happen in others, and I changed how I view the world and people around me.
Without a doubt, I would say this was the most beautiful and amazing experience I've ever had. I got to see praise and worship in different languages. I got to see how our testimonies as a team managed to convince people that no matter what they have done, they could have been redeemed by the Lord. And that was just so beautiful for me to see.
My favorite part of the Sri Lanka trip was how God sends you to serve others, but in a way it also works in you, because you get closer to God, and I just think it's beautiful how we all grew our relationships with God and how we just experienced Him in a complete new way.
How God used my testimony to bring someone back to Jesus. And it was mind-blowing.
My favorite part of the trip was praying for people and overall loving people.
This trip, the Lord really showed to me how He can work wonders, setting people's hearts on fire for Him when you least expect it. One example that stuck out to me the most was in Aurelia, our last outreach. We were preparing to spread the gospel to unbelievers, but when we got there, everybody there were believers and came to our last conference. However, during the prayer towards the end, a Hindu man with no intention for Christ came in, and after a lot of prayer and guidance from the Lord, he eventually rededicated his life after 20 years.
I'm thankful for the joy and peace God gave me on this trip. Where I was nervous about the future, God gave me peace and reassurance. God reminded me on this trip that He cannot be placed in a box, that His love cannot be defined by human words, and it's so far greater than we can ever imagine.
What an incredible trip. There's so many things we can mention, but to mention just two things is God's faithfulness, and He's such a personal God. He cares about the small detail. As it says in the Bible, He leaves the 99 to go after the one, and that's something we truly saw during this trip. The youth were so vulnerable. They were courageous, bold, allowing God to use them to pray for others, encourage others through their testimony. It was just such a beautiful trip. So join us next year just to see God's heart for us as individuals and for the nations. Thank you.
My favorite part of the trip was of how God used me. And I'm a 9-year-old boy. How would you do that? And if God can use me, He can use you too.